Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode, playoff edition of Life in the Jungle, Season 1, Episode 20. And yes, Pharaoh done outdid me with the chain, y'all. He done outdid me with the chain. I thought I was doing something. I came back from Vegas, like, yeah, I matched you. Man, he done upgraded. He done went all the way chunky with me on the chain. But hey, man, we here for another episode, and it ain't end of the year one. We still have another game to play because our Bengals was victorious this weekend, 26-19, ending the 31-year drought. And I'm gonna ask you the question, brother Alex. Did you cry?
I cried instantly. I cried instantly. Let me paint this picture for everybody though, and I know that Cam feels the same way.
Mhm,
This was a long time in the making for a lot of Bengals fans, but
mhm.
particularly those of us 35 and under. This is something that we have never experienced, or were so young the last time they did it in January '91, we didn't really capture it. So, I mean, it just hit me all at once. I'm thinking about going to school, wearing my Bengals starter jacket and hat and Jeff Blake jersey and getting teased and picked on because, most people are bandwagon people. So everybody was a Cowboys fan or a 49ers fan and all the abuse I had to take and playing with the Bengals on Madden when nobody else would choose them and just thinking about all the close calls, even when Marvin got there and changed the narrative and got us into the playoffs, but still couldn't get it done. And to just experience that finally and be there live in person, even though I was freezing my butt off, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
No, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world either. Middle of the third quarter, I couldn't feel my feet. Uh, and I'm like, you know what? But I'm like, I'm in here, and I feel like I was gonna witness history. I just felt good about it this go around. You know, it all started, at the tailgate. Brother Alex ain't meet me again, y'all. Just to let you know, at the tailgate, brother Alex did not meet me again. Pharaoh did not meet me again.
It was not because Pharaoh did not try. Okay,
Okay, that's fair.
I got down there a little later than I anticipated. I had my best friend Jeff, who might be tuning in. He came down from Columbus, and we got down there, and I was trying to figure out where Coach Cam was. Now he did not send me a locator file or nothing like that. He's a lot more, shall we say, in tune and familiar with the downtown landscape. Like I know how to get to the stadium and my parking spot, and that's about it. So as I'm calling Cam, he's directing me. I'm walking around the stadium. It's getting close to kickoff time. I call Cam back to say, Cam, where exactly is Elm Street at? And it will not connect. Now, this is what Cam won't tell y'all. His cell phone died because he was having the time of his life tailgating, and it died when I was trying to call him back to get confirmation. But
Uh,
we will be watching the game together this week, though.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And man, I just want to say, because I know you want to go on with something before we really dive into the game. I just want to say the city of Cincinnati deserves this. That's why you are a diehard fan for moments like this. And it took me back to something Zach Taylor said. And when he said it, of course that's when we were like only winning, two games, four games, and you're like, I don't believe you. But he stated, I think it was after, maybe it was after last year. He said, when we start winning playoff games and AFC champions, well, and AFC North titles, we're going to look back on these moments where we struggled and we're going to kind of laugh at them. And you know what? And it just brought to me and said, you know what? Zach had a vision. He had it from day one. He never steered away from the vision, even though things got rocky. And year three, this vision played out. Was exactly what he said came to true. We won a playoff game. We won an AFC North title, and now we looking back at these like last 2 years, and we can kind of chuckle at them a little bit, because everything that the foundation that was laid, the previous 2 years led up to this. I just feel like we deserve this, and I feel like Zach Taylor, he gets it, man. He understands. He said they asked him, "When did you plan this to get a game ball to Mike Brown into the city and go to different bars?" He said 3 years ago when I got hired.
Mm.
He said, I said, when we win this playoff game, I'm gonna give the city of Cincinnati a game ball. We're gonna go around the different bars and give it. So he understands the magnitude of this win. He understood the magnitude of getting this franchise back to where it needs to be. And it's just awesome, man. And I experienced it was a great experience for me at the tailgate, meeting different fans from New Mexico, been fans since '85, named their daughter Cincinnati. Like so when the Bengals are rolling and when the Bengals are hot, th- there's a this fan base is really is really top of the NFL when you think about it because I mean it's not we talk about it all the time. Being a Bengal fan is not for the weak. You don't just hop on the bandwagon of being a Bengal fan.
Let me tell
So
you something. If somebody identifies themselves as a Bengal fan, you know they are a real fan. Now,
yep,
whether you like their commentary or not, because we've talked about that off the record or not, if they
yes,
identify as a Bengals fan, there is a love affair there. Because for the vast majority of our lifetime, there's been more pain than pleasure. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I love my Bengals. As I mentioned, another reason I got emotional is because my father, who passed away in October of 2018, he
mm,
made sure I left Good Sam Hospital in December of 1986 wearing Bengals gear. I was not allowed to leave the hospital unless I was wearing Bengals gear. In fact, my mom pulled out the gear and the little socks and the little outfit that I left the hospital, and so that was another little emotional thing before the game. So it runs deep with me. I can't I can't think of a time where I was not a Bengals fan, even before I was truly able to capture it.
mhm,
So this certainly runs deep. But we have a lot of passionate fans, and we've just been hurt because things really have not gone our way over the vast majority of time. So I think everybody had a collective exhale moment. And I like the fact that even though Joe embraced it himself, speaking of Joe Burrow, he's focused like everybody else is. Like, hey, we're not done. We got other goals to accomplish. And I do want to speak on Zach because I know there have been a lot of people, even in my personal life, that are waiting for this grand sweeping acknowledgement and acceptance of Jack Taylor coming from me. And while I'm not still going to offer that right now at this particular moment, I am going to tip my cap and say that, as Cam said, the guy does get it. You have to acknowledge what he's done this year and the role that he's played and getting the guys over the hump and into the playoffs. And like it or not, hey, look, man, he's done something that no Bengals head coach since Sam Weiss has done. And he won a playoff game.
yep,
And giving it to, the game ball to Mike Brown and Miss Nancy, I thought was a very class move. I know Mike Brown has taken a lot of heat, some justified, and in my opinion, also some not justified over the years for the shortcoming, of the Bengals. So I thought that was a very classy move. And I know in his post game speech, speaking of head coach Zach Taylor, he said, look, you guys that have been here for a while, Clark Harris, Kyle Huber, Coach Darren Simmons, special teams coach, you know what this means to the city because you've been
mm,
here for this. He said some of you other guys, it may take you 5, 10, 15 years to realize what you just did for the city of Cincinnati. And
mm.
I just thought it was a very special, classy moment for him to even acknowledge that because they play for themselves, they play for each other, they play for the organization. But to acknowledge the role of them playing for us and what this means in our lives as fans, I thought was a really good move by Coach Zach Taylor.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And we see the comments here for sure, and we're gonna get to them shortly when we dive into recapping the game and things like that. But before we do that, I know you wanted to kind of because we talked off the record, how uh, Jerome Boger and his officiating crew were let go for basically from the playoff rotation there. And this really never happened like this before. But I know you wanted to go ahead and kind of say and touch on a few things before we dive into the game.
Well, we talked about this off the record, and we kind of agreed not to spend a whole bunch of time on it. But I insisted on spending some because I think it's necessary because there's a bigger issue at play. First of all, Jerome Boger and his crew. He first of all, he's one of the better officials in the NFL. Now, that's not to say that anyone can't have an off day or make a mistake, and I'm not making excuses for that. There've been a lot of comments from people saying, "Oh, they need to be held accountable," and the NFL has long stood by the thing that they do hold officials accountable, but usually it's behind closed doors. It's not, for public fodder or for people to see out in the open. Well, here's my issue with this. It's sort of like politics in the way that goes now. If you're not careful because of how people latch on to things, and particularly those that don't truly understand the entire context of what being, said and presented to you, they'll take it in the left field and take it into an area where it's not supposed to be.
Hmm.
That play that we're referencing with the erroneous whistle that was blown had, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it PG-13. Let me go Stephen A. Smith safe words. It didn't have a damn thing to do with the outcome of the game or that particular play. When Joe Burrow was rolling to his right, scramble zero for all you guys that play football or understand the game at that point. See your quarterback's in trouble as a wide receiver, you start moving around like Tyler Boyd did. He didn't have a Raider close enough to him to make a damn play. And when the whistle blown, it was a millisecond, a half of a second before the ball, which was already in the air, actually touched his hands. I don't even know why we're talking about it, and this isn't being a homer or you're just saying that because you're a Bengals fan. No, I don't really get what we're talking about. I mean, me and Cam were down there, and I didn't hear a whistle, so I'm gonna say the same thing to Joe Burrow.
I didn't hear one either.
But at the end of the day, they got beat, and I would definitely give us a little bit more credence if the Raiders had led any point in time during this game, other than going up 3-0 at the beginning of the game with their first drive. But after that, the Raiders were never in control of this game. They never tied it back up. They were never leading again after the Bengals went down and returned the favor by getting a touchdown and going up 7-3. This is not the Tuck Rule game or something that altered professional football for that game and the next 2 decades following. That is something that if they do want to handle that and it shouldn't have happened and what should take place per rules, that's fine. Reprimand them, do what they need to do. But I don't believe that Jerome Boger should be made into a scapegoat publicly for a play that really essentially okay, and a rule was not followed, I guess, but it had no outcome on the game. And for people like Adam Schefter, ESPN's senior NFL insider, and Charles Woodson, the great trader from Fremont, Ohio, who went to play his ball at that team up north. Adam Schefter went to that same school also up in Ann Arbor that I'm speaking of. So I expect this from them. But anyway, to get on TV and to say technically this is a tie game and they should restart from that position and the Raiders got holes and all this. And I said, look, Seawood, I understand that you were a Raider and there's a certain element to TV to playing up to your fan base or just saying stuff to certain things, but you got to be a bit more responsible, and being an analyst and what you're saying and so forth because of how people take stuff out of context. And all it's going to do is give people a foothold who don't really understand the game, who have a small market bias to begin with, who are trying to make up in their mind how and why the Bengals have moved on to the divisional round of the playoffs, a team that perennially people are used to being able to poke jokes at and say, hey, you're the laughing stock of the NFL. So, this has to be a reason why they advance. No, it's cheap. It's disgusting and it's idiotic to even sit here and entertain this conversation. But since it's come up multiple times and I've seen it on TV, I said I'm going to. Because regardless of who you root for, whether you're a Bengals fan or not, the biggest storyline in the NFL right now, the most exciting, should be and is the Bengals winning their first playoff game in 31 years. There is no, unless you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, bigger connection, more exciting tandem than Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase right now. Prove me wrong. That
Mm.
should be the biggest story about what's being talked about right now, not an erroneous whistle that had no effect on the outcome of this game.
Yep, yep, absolutely, and it's well said. And just a little piggyback off of that, how many times have we got hosed? How many times have we got hosed? Joey Porter coming on the field, Mike Munchak grabbing Reggie Nelson dreads on the sideline,
Emo
all
Von
this type of stuff. Chemo Von Razak. So, for me, I don't care. I'm letting
Ryan
you know right
Shazier.
now. I do not care what happened, if it was a whistle, erroneous whistle, whatever, because you know what? Joe never stepped out anyway. So why you even got the whistle trying to blow the whistle anyway? Just doing too much. Uh, and really it goes on the head officials, but sometimes it's the other officials out there. The game seemed like it was too big for them. And unfortunately, since the referee got to make the calls, Boger, is the one looking bad. But these other guys, line judges and all this, making crazy calls, blowing the whistle when they don't need to blow it, don't make sense. So, hey, I'm taking the win, and you know what? And we were the better team all day. We
The
were the better
second
team all day.
win against the Raiders all year, and that's another thing. Had we not also went out previously during the year and beat them in Las Vegas 32-13, and came here and listen, the only reason this was a game is because the Bengals kind of played it conservative a couple times when they got down into the red zone and had to settle for field goals, which is what allowed the Raiders to stay in it. There was no point in time where I saw anything different or saw that the Raiders were any better of a team than we played them in, what was that, October when we
Hmm.
played them. The better team won, and it did not have an effect on the game. So as I said, move on. Raiders fans are the only other fan base that feels like they're constantly getting hosed by the NFL. But I can say this as a Bengals fan confidently, and I'm sure you would agree. There ain't a damn team in the NFL that's getting hosed or calls made against them at the expense of the Cincinnati Bengals. So you can forget that one.
Yep, exactly, exactly. Um, and like I said, I see y'all comments here, and I'm gonna get to them in a hot second. Now, for the game there, and like you said, this game could have been out of reach. We settled for 4 field goals in the red zone. We could have easily dropped 40 on them, and this could have been very, very, very ugly game. Um, it did seem like in the second half, though, we got a little tight on offense. I felt like it was like I'm not gonna say we had pressure, but you felt like, okay, we're gonna win this thing. We need one TD. We couldn't get it. We couldn't get it. We couldn't find a way to get into a rhythm. And Zach Taylor said, credit. He'll take some blame for that, for not being able to find a rhythm in the second half to punch it in one time. But overall, you just gotta look at the game plan in general, and once again the game script. That was my biggest grief about ZT, is the game script. And the last 3 weeks where the starters have played, the script I felt like has been solid. I felt like it's been good. We come down there, we answer right back with 7. I thought that was probably the biggest drive of the game after giving up 3. Like, you know what, we go get 7. This ain't the same old Bengals. We not gonna bask in that bad first drive on defense, and we gonna come answer with 7. Once we answer with 7, I said, okay, we fine.
Yeah, I was
We're
I was
fine.
I was completely comfortable after that, and then to break it down a little further, in that first drive, you saw almost everybody get involved at that point. CJ Usama was the one that got the touchdown down in the red zone. Couple plays to Uno throughout that drive. Joe Mixon got loose with a couple runs and a nice little screen pass to get you down in position that first drive. So everybody was getting their feet wet. They definitely did not look nervous. I knew Joe Burrow wouldn't be nervous because it seems like no moment is too big for him. But like you said, to answer right back with a touchdown, not a field goal, I said, oh yeah, this is ours. We're ready to go.
Yep, yep. And you know what? I will go even further, and now this is where I will touch on some comments. Now, I don't think the game for if you want to take out or say the 4 field goals, okay, that's fine. I don't think the game is close if Trey Hendrickson goes out. As we seen, he get a strip sack early in the game, to give us the 2 score lead. Basically, we go down, get a field goal, go up 13-3, huge. Um, and there's nobody on the Raiders line that could block Trey Hendrickson. Um, and the fact that he got hurt, it slowed down our pass rush a lot. In the second half. So Jason Maloney says, is Trey going to play? If not, they're in trouble. Well, right now, we don't. There's no injury report that will come out tomorrow. So we don't know. Concussion protocols are tricky. He could get cleared Thursday. It could linger to next week. So we don't know. But obviously, we would like to have Trey Hendrickson out there. He's one of the best pass rushers in the game right now. So we would definitely want to have him out there. For sure. Let's see here. Let's see. We got okay. We will touch on this. That's great. How about the big third down pass to Chase, where the officials had to talk for 10 minutes and say LV took a timeout? Stop with the whistle talk. Officials was piss poor the whole game on both sides.
I
Exactly.
want
It's
I want that one. I want that one because I was sitting there in the stands and we were talking to the guys behind us and the same thing. I couldn't believe that that was the takeaway from that extended conference that they had on the field with one another. I'm like, if that was the case, that should have been a really quick call and moved on. But you spent, I don't know, at least 5 minutes, seemed like longer when we were down there
yes.
talking about
We like
it.
what's going on? I'm thinking it's penalties on the Raiders. Um, I'm like, so what's going? What we doing here? It's three flags out. I'm like, so
Other
what's
fans
going on?
started booing. Like, I mean, like it shouldn't. And then your takeaway from that was Las Vegas called a timeout prior to that. I
That
said,
can't happen.
okay, so,
That can't
so
happen.
somebody messed up, and that was y'all cop out. So I agree, it was not the best game by Boger and his crew, but that, like I said, I felt like honestly that was probably the least most important play, the one we keep referencing where Tyler Boyd caught the touchdown because nobody was around him, and it happened a half a second before he caught the ball. So the play was
Mhm.
already in motion and determined it was going to happen. But that there was the Hunter Winfro catch that wasn't that they actually had to get overturned, where Zach Taylor threw out the flag. Where I'm looking at that like, how did you even rule that
A
as
catch, you got to land with it.
to begin with? So there were a lot of other calls that had to be corrected. On both sides. There was the roughing the passer, the pass interference. Call. It's one of those things where really, depending on what team you're rooting for, you're going to have a different take on it. But as I said, that whistle was not why they lost the game. So I'm with you, Mr. Woods. That was irrelevant to keep talking about.
Yep, absolutely. We got James Summer here saying we invading Tennessee. We not done yet. In my CJ Usama voice, who they? Yeah, who they, man? And we'll definitely get in the Tennessee in a second. We got Deshaun. My boy Flag here says Raiders had too many penalties at the wrong time. All game, them penalties was huge. Exactly, they shot themselves in the foot with penalties, and
They
and
had
that's
they had unforced errors. There were a couple drop passes by their tight ends by Deshaun Jackson that I saw where guys were wide open and Carr got the ball to them and they just dropped the ball. There were plenty of things that went wrong for the Raiders that had nothing to do with officiating. So I agree with that. They kind of took themselves out of the game, but just thank the Bengals for being a little conservative in that second half. As you mentioned, Cam, I thought it got to the point where they were playing. I don't want to say they were playing not to lose instead of to win, but they wanted to run the clock out. Because even me sitting in the stands, and I'm sure you did the same thing, I kept peeking up at that board.
it wasn't moving. Clock was. I felt like the clock was. I'm like, oh my god, we
I'm
still
like,
got
come
this much
on
to
now,
do.
come on, like take away, let's come on.
Right,
And I
right.
think Zach probably was like, man, we're gonna shorten this game out and get out of here. For sure with the W. And you knew Joe wasn't gonna make that drastic mistake or anything like that. But yeah,
Mhm.
man, and that's a football life. As I remember one of my coaches, Coach Rogers, used to say that back in the day. Like when you're winning, time is going slow. When you're losing, the ticks can't go off the clock fast enough, or they are flying off the board.
Yep, absolutely. That's how it is. I got my boy Diggy in the house. Say on some real stuff. The Bengals got a chance to play in the Super Bowl. Now, with that statement, I don't. That's not crazy to think of, man. Like I know a lot of I love because I love the Tennessee matchup, and we'll talk about that later. But once you get that first playoff win, you can start talking about okay, you know, how can we get there? Because for us it was let's just take a step, let's win a playoff game first. That's
Hmm.
over. That's over now. You don't talk about okay, let's just make it into the AFC Championship game after that first one. You talk about okay, what does it possibly look like for us to get, to the Super Bowl? And I don't see with a quarterback like Joe Burrow, which I'm gonna go on my little rant now, and I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go on my rant. This is why you draft Joe. This is why there's no amount of picks. There's no trade that's worth it. When people ask me, would you take the five number ones? Nope, I'm not taking it. If I feel like Joe Burrow is my guy, and I know that he's gonna be a franchise quarterback for 15 years, there's no amount of picks that equals that. And that's what I was trying to tell people. There's no amount of picks that equals that. And that's what that showed this weekend. Joe Burrow having having the savvy, having the confidence, and it spills throughout the team. He's saying, "Look, this is expected. This is expected. We all happy. They like this is we expect this. Like we ain't blowing cigars like the AFC North Championship game. We got two more, three more to get, and that's huge, man. This team is young. I don't think they know any better, which is a good thing. They going out there and thinking they the baddest dudes on the block, like Jamar Chase said. I don't think I could be. We could be stopped. I know I can't be stopped.
Well, he
When you
can't be, and
no, 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 no.
particularly if teams are going to keep. I don't know what the Raiders' game plan was or why they decided to leave Uno 1-on-1 out there. I guess the thinking was, well, let's try to contain Tyler Boyd and everybody else because maybe that is a little bit easier than doing so with Uno. But no, it's not crazy to think outside of the box and start to wonder what that would be like. I mean, I did it earlier. I let my mind go to that. Like, what if they actually did make it to the Super Bowl? And I'm old enough now to take this whole thing in and oh, what if they
Bruh.
win and the parade and
Oh my God.
so yeah, I mean your mind goes there, but you know how I am, Cam.
One game at a time.
Yeah. So because this is still a single elimination tournament. This is not a 7 game series. So you take your foot off the pedal for too long, and you could have an abrupt stop, crash landing. And I don't think this team will do that. But it's certainly fun as fans to dream. But we got to take care of business with Tennessee, and I'm sure that's where the players' mindsets are at right now.
Yep, yep, absolutely. And let's see here what we got. We got Corey, my man Corey Brooker in the house. So I definitely want to touch his comment. He's definitely a loyal watcher. That was a great chance to get the jitters out. We play anyone else in round one, and it could have been different, but the Raiders' mistakes allowed us to have an up and down day. Field goals don't beat Tennessee or anyone left in the playoffs. I agree with you, Corey. Definitely, I agree with your comment. It's just different games present different challenges. And the fact that we actually, like you said, we was able to get the monkey off our back. Now I like for us to play even better moving forward. Just because we have that confidence of winning a playoff game and not having that dark cloud over us. So I'm definitely excited about moving forward. I'm definitely excited about Tennessee and that matchup. And I see your boy Jeff here comment. So I'm gonna let you answer this.
That's his
With the
dad.
Bengals,
That's Mr. Lawrence.
yeah, yep. Oh, okay. So that's your boy's dad,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Lawrence wrote here, will the Bengals be able to stop the run against the Titans? I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer that.
Well, I'll say that it just got a little bit harder with Ogunjobi being moved to the IR and done for the remainder of the season. That is a big blow that we can't just,
Mm,
skip over. Next man up, yeah, but as Tom Jackson always says, there's a reason why that guy was starting. Now,
yeah.
you,
Exactly.
um, the BJ Hill pickup was big for Billy Price earlier in the year because this is a guy that's come in and has made plays and has been in the rotation the whole year. Starting to get really thin at defensive tackle though. We cannot
Yeah.
afford any more injuries. I saw was that Jesse Bates or somebody that said I might send a text out to
No,
G.
yeah, Jesse Bates text Geno Atkins. He
You know,
said he ain't
I,
wrote back yet, but and then I think Geno answered the question. He was out sledding with his kid. He had on a Cincinnati hat, but I think that was his answer. Like, look, I'm enjoying family life, man, and I ain't got no more snaps in me. But they did reach out. Jesse Bates did text Geno.
hey, it's worth a shot. But to answer your question, Mr. Lawrence, I think the Bengals will be fine. You know, we do have the linebackers, you know, back in full tilt. Everybody seems to be healthy across the linebacker board, and I know everybody's chomping at the bit because Derrick Henry may be coming back. Now, I'm going to err on the side of science and logic and say that even if he is cleared to play, I don't see him coming out being, you know, the Derrick Henry after missing what 10 plus weeks. So it'll take a team effort. But if you remember what the Bengals played the Titans last year and had the surprise victory against them, I think Derrick Henry did run for 100 yards, but it was very pedestrian. You don't remember like,
Yeah, it was a yeah. He wasn't
yeah,
a whole bunch of big gashes where he's stiff
yeah.
arming people in underground. So
So I'm not as scared, as some people may be, as long as we don't have any more knock on wood injuries. I think we'll be able to contain them. And then it comes to the point: are you really expecting Ryan Tannehill to play mistake-free ball and beat you down the stretch? I don't want to give away too much of our, Titans
yeah.
analysis yet, but I'm a little bit more confident than maybe some other people are about our ability to match up. I don't see Javon Curse or Eddie George or God rest his soul, Aaron McNair running out of the tunnel. So I'm ready to go.
Yep, yep, absolutely. I agree, and I believe Diggy Sorrell's kind of but Henry's not 100. And listen, man, look, as beastie as Derrick Henry is, okay,
Hmm.
this was supposed to be an injury that kept him out for the season. Now, when it's a foot injury, you're not gonna come back in 100% game shape. It's not possible. Now, if they come out here and give him the ball 20 times, honestly, coming off an injury, I honestly like my chances, honestly, because that means they're honestly forcing the ball to him to a certain extent because you come and run him 20 plus times off an injury. He's not in peak game shape. Now he in shape. Don't get me wrong, but game shape is different from being, from just normal shape.
And we're
And
in a different time nowadays because I know you and I have disagreed at various times about this, but I mean, this will be one of those things where analytics and health has changed the game a little bit nowadays. Where no, under no circumstances do I see them giving the ball to him 20 plus times. He would have to pace himself either way, even if he, is inserted back into the lineup. And the Titans have to think about his health beyond, just this game, even if he wants to get in there and try to make a difference. So I just don't think from a physicality standpoint and science or anything else that we should be expecting, the Derrick Henry of old or for him to carry the ball 20 or 30 times this game.
yep, absolutely. And get on some more. I wanted to get a comment here because it was someone that we failed to mention right now. Oh, that my unsung guy showed up, CJ Uzama from Curtis Robinson. Yes, CJ Uzama has been a player that when his number has been called, he has showed up all season long. And he's a guy that is perfect for the locker room, especially at the tight end position, because he knows certain games he may get 2 targets. Certain games he may get 0 targets, depending on how the game plan works. Because depending on our weapons, Mixon, Boyd, Higgins, Chase. You can only spread it out so much. And Uzama even said like, well, I like to catch more balls, yeah, but I know some games I may get 2 targets. Next game I might get 6 or 7. I gotta take advantage of my opportunities. And he was there, and he was very intricate part of the offense on Saturday, and he showed up big, made some big catches.
And that's what I wanted to say because I remember we were in the stands and we were talking about it. Me and my homie Jeff. I said, that's what I like about him. Is no matter how many opportunities he does or doesn't get, he's always ready to go. and he takes advantage of that and makes the most of them. So, at no point in time does he not take advantage of the targets that he does getting. It's a very selfless attitude to be all team and all ball oriented, to where he stays locked into the game plan no matter what and no matter how involved he personally is. And that's why he's a locker room guy. Oftentimes you'll see him being the one break him down after the game. So hats off to CJ Usama, who was another guy who I think arrived in that same draft class with Tyler Boyd a year after the
Mhm.
5-year playoff run. So this is
Mhm.
his first time experiencing some success here as a Bengal also.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And let's see here. Let's see. We have Miss Lawrence in the house as well. Says I love the gutsy fourth and one play call. I hate the fact that we aren't running the ball well enough to pick up those types of first downs in those situations. And you know what? I kind of agree with her in a sense. Now it was very creative with the you start off and you go up under center, they cramp the line, and then you send Chase on the pitch. That was very creative. It was a good play, even though I know you hate the pitch play, brother Alex. I know you. I know you had that smirk on your face when I said pitch, and then you. But it was
Uh,
a good design play because they was all crushed in the middle. So that was a good design play. But you would like to be able to line up behind center, power formation, and be able to get a yard. You do. So I do agree with her on that. But that was a good gutsy play call that panned out on fourth and one.
well, Mama, I definitely agree. It was a good play because it actually worked. The majority of the
Mhm.
reverses and pitch plays that we've done to Chase throughout the year have not worked. But that one did, and you had to give him credit for it. And like you said, recognizing the guys stacked in the middle and in the box like that to be able to exploit that. But I'm still old school in that sense. I'm sort of like Coach Lombardi in the sense of if you can't get a yard, you don't deserve to win the game. I hate the fact that the NFL 3rd and 1 has become a passing down now. So if 3rd and 1 is, so is 4th and 1. And I get it. These guys are so much more athletic than even some of the greats of the past were in certain instances, and you still want to be able to exploit guys and get out in space and let them do what they do. But run the damn ball, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1.
Yep, absolutely. And here we go, Corey Booker. They got a great coach from Z with the championship pedigree. Now, you know, you know, bro, brother Booker. Look here, the great coach from Z with the championship pedigree. Let's not forget, lost to Zach Taylor, who comes from Don't get me wrong. Now, the University of Cincinnati is now coming off a playoff berth now. And Zach Taylor is a former Bearcat, so that former Bearcat might have beat that coach from D last year with a less roster, with
We
no
really count
DJ
that one
Reader,
year, huh?
with no Mixon last year.
We're
We
really
didn't have a
counting that.
Chase last year, so I'm just saying
We're really
now.
counting that one year. Well, look, everybody is against Mike Vrabel in Hamilton County right now, or should be. So let's get that out in the open. But I do appreciate Mr. Brooker acknowledging the former All American from the and potential Hall of Famer, 3-time Super Bowl winning linebacker with the New England Patriots and coach Mike Vrabel, who is scarlet and gray to his core. But none of that matters this week. I don't give a damn about Mike Vrabel right now.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Boom. Don't care about it. But no, but people, I know it was a regular season game here, but people forget, like I said, last year we beat the Titans, and we don't have near the roster of what we had. We had, corners was depleted. We had no DJ Reader. We had no Joe Mixon. Line was worse than what it was. Um, Logan Wilson wasn't out there yet. I mean, so you had a lot of things where even though it was the regular season, but the Bengals honestly roster wise or just overall just wasn't a good football team last year, and they found a way to beat the Titans. Now, obviously, it's playoffs at stake, and that's different. It's on the road, but you know what? Honestly, Bengals fans, let's stop worrying about talking about how we gonna face up with Derrick Henry and all these guys, blah 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 blah. I guarantee you, Titans fans is looking. How are we gonna stop Jamar Chase? Uh, if we do that, then how we gonna stop mixing? Well, they do got Higgins. They do got they got Boyd underneath. They trust me, Titans fans is sweating too. That's what we gotta realize now, man. We not the same old Bengals. The other guys are sweating when they see the Cincinnati Bengals because we got a quarterback that can spread it out to all the guys. Mixon is also
Say that again.
we got a quarterback that can lead us, that can spread it all out. And Tennessee, I'm telling you, their fans are not. They're looking, probably figuring out, okay, how can we stop this 9-1 combination? Cause it ain't been stopped yet.
First of all, you have to stop Joe Burrow, period. Marcus Spears, and I know he's a fellow LSU Tiger, so of course he was heaping all praise, but it was on point. He was saying, Joe Burrow doesn't care about having a perfect QBR rating. He doesn't care how many yards he throws for. None of that matters to him. The only thing that matters to him when he gets on the field is he wants to beat the opposing team, and he's going to figure it out, and he's going to learn how to do so. And sometimes even on the fly, like the play he made to Tyler Boyd in the end zone and never giving up and scrambling to do what he needed to do. And that's the type of guy that he is. He's scrappy. He was a guy that didn't have success handed to him right there on the platter. He went to Ohio State. He was recruited to be a clipboard holder, basically a backup quarterback, and he believed he was more than that, and he didn't get his opportunity until after he graduated and transferred to LSU. But it shows you the type of fortitude that somebody like Joe Burrow has on why none of this other stuff really phases him in these moments because he's had to overcome adversity. So playoff game, what was that? Like he said, I expect to be here. This is what the standard has now become, and I think Rex Ryan also spoke to that too. He said, "Man, this dude's a killer. He's got the same DNA as one Tom Brady." Now, no, nobody's saying that he's going to be Tom Brady at this point, but the traits are there, and regardless of who you root for or don't root for, you can see them, and that's what I think more than anything gave you, me, a lot of Bengals fans confidence going into this game was we knew quarterback play would not be an issue, and I'm still scratching my head wondering how arrogantly some people, other than I guess just muscle memory, are already dismissing the Bengals' chances and saying, "Oh yeah, well they got the Raiders, but I don't know. That's a tall ass to go to Tennessee." I'm like,
Man,
you're talking about Ryan Tannehill versus
uh,
Joe Burrow. I'll let you take those odds.
yeah, exactly. And sorry, here I'll get to you in a second, AI LeBron. But we got James Summers says here we got to get out the field on third downs. It's a must. More opportunities for Burrow to do damage and wear them down. Yeah, I agree with that. Third down, sometimes we struggle, but we have to make sure it's third and long situations as well. We can't give them third and five, third and fours, third and threes. You want to try to get them in third and six pluses. And that helps you get off the field. We got a comment here. It says, "Good evening. My opinion on is this game with Tennessee will be won and lost by the coaches." Yeah, I mean they have to coach a good game. They have to put the players in positions to be successful. I just think Lou will have something planned for defense. I really do. So I'm excited. To see what we come up with there. And I believe we have Miss Brantley.
My
Hey,
mom is.
Hey guys, how you doing, Miss Brantley? Appreciate you for tuning in. Let's see here, and question here is for Anthony Anderson here. Do you think Derrick Henry with the will be the biggest threat to the Bengals' hopes of getting to the AFC title game, or do you think AJ Brown and the receiving core will have a bigger factor?
I
I'll
think it'll
I'll let you.
be yeah, I think it'll be AJ Brown in the receiving core because again, I'm not anticipating. And listen, if anybody's capable of it, we know that mutant named Derrick Henry, and I've seen his training regimen and lifting with the chains and everything. So I know the brother's been working hard to get back out there, but again, sometimes physics are physics and science, and it's not something that everyone's able to overcome. But if anybody can, it would be him. But I'm just saying, even from an organizational standpoint, I know how a lot of teams do stuff like that. I highly doubt that they hand the ball to him maybe more than 15 times, if that, this game. It might be a situational thing, or if they get down to the red zone, really trying to punch it in with Derrick Henry. And I think knowing that, they have to come into a game plan where maybe they're going to try to feature the wide receivers and find some matchup that they believe they can win, because even the Bengals are not going to sit there and let the Titans just run the ball all the way to an AFC title game. So Sweet Lou will be ready for that. So you would have to think that they're going to try to put an emphasis on making some other guys get involved in the game plan. And I still think that favors us, because I like our secondary, be it Awuzie, be it Mike Hilton in the slot, and of course our two safeties. In the back end, Von Bell and Jesse Bates, who I do want to give a shout out to, had
Yes,
a
played a great game.
extremely
That's
good
the
game.
that's the Jesse. That's why I ride Jesse Bates so hard because I know he can play like that.
He
That's
had
why.
a lights out game from the free safety spot. And if
Mm.
they do that, I'm sorry, I'm not that impressed with Tennessee's wide receiver core to lose any sleep.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And let's see here. We got he said mentioned here Tannehill has been sacked 47 times, so that's a lot of times too. So hopefully we can get a little bit of pressure and get to Ryan Tannehill for sure. Joey Wood says the 9-1 Uno. Joey B the Uno, the back shoulder connection they got is sick. Yeah, it is. It's almost seeming to be automatic there when they go to that back shoulder throw. Mr. Lawrence says, yes, yes, Alex, Tannehill is prone to mistakes. He is, and I believe like I said, he'll give you 2 to 3 balls where you got to capitalize per game. You just got to catch him. That's it, catch him and turn him over, and you definitely got a chance.
Even
Uh,
more so than Derek Carr, who did give us one when he put the ball on the carpet, or we got in there actually and caused that
mhm,
turnover. But because he stayed pretty poised, I was waiting for
he
him
did.
to get happy feet and to give us one, but he didn't really serve it up. So got to give hats off to him. But Ryan Tannehill, I do believe is just a tad bit fraudulent, just in my book. Now he can prove me wrong Saturday, but I believe that he's fraudulent. I mean, he's a guy. Sort of, I put him in that. I don't want to make Cowboys fans mad, but I put him in that Dak Prescott category where it's like, all right, he's above average, but it's not gonna win you a game. I have seen him lose a few though.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. And Corey says, Vrabel spent a lot of time with Belichick. Joe can't lock on the Uno. Guarantee they got a plan for him. They got a plan for him. Joe don't. The crazy thing is, people think Joe lock on the Uno. He don't lock on the Uno. The
Uno's
thing is,
open.
the problem is if you gonna give Uno 1-on-1, I'm gonna throw it to him. That's it. He don't lock on to Uno. That's just like the Baltimore game. Higgins had 12 catches, 194 yards. So you want to roll coverage or you want to do anything? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, hit T. Let's not forget T got 1,000+ yards too. T got 1,100 yards too. That's not
Yeah,
locking on one
I
receiver.
do. I do want to see T Higgins more involved this weekend in the game plan. And they did
Yeah.
try to get the ball to him. It was just one of those things that it didn't work out. But to make another sports analogy from a different sport, the youngest heavyweight champion of all time in history, Iron Mike Tyson, once said, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. So everybody might have a plan and know what they think is coming, but knowing what's coming and being able to stop it is two different things. And like I said at the beginning, if they're going to continue to have one-on-one coverage over top of Jamar Chase, good luck. I'm like Joey. I'm going to take my odds on
Yep. Absolutely. Now I do have to ask. This is special. Playoff, 31 years. We got to give out game balls for this. Now we got to give out game balls for this
that.
game that happened this past weekend. And I think I'm first this week.
Yes.
And you know on offense, I it's I know it's getting redundant, but uh, you want to say Joey, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going on offense. I'm going to give the game ball to the offensive line. I thought they played an admirable game. Kept Joe clean for the most part. Yeah, gave up a few sacks, but it wasn't many pressures, wasn't many hits to Joe Burrow, and that was huge because they do have two good pass rushers in Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakwe. And I thought that overall, I thought Jonah Williams did a great job on Ngakwe, excuse me, and Prince did a very serviceable job against Max Crosby. So to be able to keep Joe upright, that's going to be the key to success in the playoffs. So hopefully the line is playing the best ball at the right time. And yeah, that's my offensive game ball is going to the offensive line because I thought they played well. And on defense, I'm going to give the ball to the 66 plus thousand that was down there. The fans. Yes, I'm giving it to us for the game ball because we had it rocking all night long. Third downs, caused multiple false starts, multiple communication issues. I've never seen Paul Brown stadium that electric, um, that full, and that attentive and that no one sat down. If I felt like I stood up the whole game,
Yeah, I know.
and and I stood up the whole game. No one sat down, and you know what? I probably will split the game balls between us 66,000 fans that was down there, and obviously Jermaine Pratt, game sealing interception. It will be something in a play that for us as right now as around 30 to 30 32 to 35-year-old guys who don't we don't know a play a playoff win. We will remember this for the rest of our lives. We will remember Jermaine Pratt catching this interception and ending a 31-year drought. So I want to get a game ball. I'm gonna split the game balls, give it to the 66,000 that was down there, having it rocking while we was on defense, and Jermaine Pratt for giving us a memory that us fans will never ever forget.
I like it. I could give my offensive game ball to Joe Thorough, which
Mhm.
would be really easy to do. I could give it to Uno for cooking up on the outside, getting over 100 yards receiving again, which, like
Yeah.
you said, can be redundant. But they would definitely deserve it. But that's not where I'm going with it. And by the way, I like you mentioning Isaiah Prince too. I think I remember where he went to school also, but we won't get into that. But I'm actually going to give the offensive game ball to Zach Taylor.
Mm.
Now, although there were a couple times when we questioned, were they a bit conservative or whatnot, he stayed ahead of the game for the most part. Other than being down 3-0 when the Raiders, cashed in with a field goal on their first drive, Zach Taylor managed the game. He did not become a negative part of the game or, cause any extra hurdles to overcome.
Yep.
And he was calm, and the rest of the team fed off of that. And like I said, I do like his class act after the game and his giving out of game balls to Mr. Brown and his wife and the city and acknowledging what this meant to us. So Zach called a
Mhm.
good game. I didn't see Joe have to audible a bunch during the course of the game, so I'm giving it to Zach. Defensively, I very much want to give it to all of us because, as you said, I don't think that I've ever stood that much of the game at Paul Brown. Part of me knows it was the nervous energy that was in me that didn't want to sit down the whole time when I was watching it. But yeah,
Right.
screaming the whole time. I was definitely tired after. We planned on going out and painting town red with everybody
I
else.
couldn't do it, man. Like between the tailgate and standing out, I'm like, you know what? I can't do it.
Didn't have the energy
I
I wanted
can't do it.
to have. But defensively, I'm gonna give it to Mr. Jesse Bates,
Yes.
Bengals
That's a
free safety. He made
good
a
one.
ton of critical pass breakups. I think I saw the stat where he had it was either 4 pass breakups the entire year, and
Mhm.
I think he had like 5 in that game, alone or something very close to that. But the plays that he made were very critical, especially down there in the end zone with the Raiders trying to tie this game up.
Yep. It was huge. He had the pass break up in the end zone, the pass break up on Hunter Renfro. He had some early in the game as well. He was just all over the field, and like I said, that's why I ride Jesse Bates so hard because I know he could be that type of impact player to where he can make a difference in a ball game. We get that Jesse Bates. I have no issue. You won't hear me say anything because that's the Jesse Bates I want to see because I know he can do that. I know he can do that. No, he said
Absolutely.
he had 3 pass breakups.
3.
Dustin here said he had 3, but that's a great game.
But yeah, that was a stat that he had 4 the entire year. And he had 3 in that game, so I knew it was something close to that.
Oh, Joey Woods here. He's a Florida. Look, he's a Florida Gator fan. So he said no game balls for my dude Evan Money Mac. Now we've seen Shane Graham, another former Florida guy, by the way, Woods, missed several field goals, in '09 against the Jets. So to have, Money Mac step up there, hit all four as a rookie, um, in the cold, because that's one of the questions that we thought maybe coming in. Like, okay, he's from Florida. Can he kick when it's January and it's 25 degrees out? But um he is, showing that he could be a kicker for us for a long time, and definitely a weapon for sure. So, yeah, kudos to Money Mac. We didn't give him a game ball, but definitely kudos. We respect Money Mac here at Life for the Jungle. He's been consistent all year for the most part.
Much
So,
much respect to Evan McPherson and the job that he's done at kicker. As I've said, I believe that he solidified that position to a degree that I can't remember. Maybe going back to Doug Pelfrey, where you just felt comfortable that every time a guy went out there, even especially when it matters, he was
yeah,
going to
when it
make
matters.
the kick. But no game ball. I know Coach Parcells would say, he doesn't have to play; he just has to kick. Now I won't I won't go that far with it, but he's a very important part of this team nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, now we're gonna go to the X factors before we wrap this thing up. Now, X factors for next Saturday. We play Saturday 4:30, Tennessee. It
Hmm.
could be on offense, it could be on defense, either or. Who is your X factor for Saturday's game to be able to pull out a win and head to the AFC Championship game? Who's your X factor?
X factors on defense. I'm going to go the linebacking core in general. So Jermaine Pratt, Logan Wilson, Marcus Bailey, some of the other guys that are going to be filling in because we don't know how light the defensive line is going to be. They're going to have to make tackles when they are in the game, especially. They have to make tackles in space, and they're going to have to fill their gaps because we know Tennessee is going to at least try to run the football because that's very much tied to their identity, who they are, and their game plan to beating the Cincinnati Bengals. So X factors are going to be the linebackers. Do we get it done? Do we fill our gaps? Do we stop them from imposing their will on us? Offensively, I can get creative and say who I think and this and that. Look, and I'm usually the counterintuitive one, but listen, the X factor is Joey B. All right, that's the X factor. Nothing. I'm not even going into detail. The X factor is Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow, huh? I mean, he is. He the difference maker. He the game changer. Forget the game changer. He the franchise changer. Uh, for me on defense, it's hard to really disagree with you with the linebackers. However, I think it's going to be on X factors for me. It's going to be Eli Apple. Can he hold
Ooh.
up, whether it's against AJ Brown, whether it's against Julio Jones? You talk about Julio Jones as probably one of these best receivers of this generation, that we've seen the last decade. So will he be able to hold up and hold his side down? And like I said, he don't have to play a perfect game. He just can't give up no big ones, no big chunk plays. And Eli Apple, he if he gets his hands on it, he normally brings it in. So hopefully Tannehill can give him one of those balls that we talked about that are very much 50-50 and very much playable for the defense to be able to come down with it. So I think Eli Apple and will be a huge part of what we do defensively, far as in that secondary, and seeing if we can hold up. Offensively, like you said, it could be Joey B. I'm gonna go for me. I'm gonna go Tyler Boyd.
Mm.
Because I think there's gonna be a lot of attention on Uno. I think it's gonna be a lot of attention on Higgins, and that's where Boyd can get going, and also Mixon as well. I would like to see them two really, really get going because I feel like if they get going, I think the offense is limitless, and I think that's where the Titans are in trouble. And where we can't, where they can't match up. So I'm gonna go with Tyler Boyd. Working in between the numbers. On offense and on defense, I'm gonna go with Eli Apple being able to hold down the side, whether against Julio Jones or AJ Brown. I think those will be huge factors for next week. We got score predictions now. We
Now, who
got
went
score.
first last week?
I know, yeah, yeah. You went first. You went, so I gotta go. I gotta go. Now I'm telling y'all right now, there's no instance in the rest of these shows, as long as we playing, I'm picking them to lose at this point. Cause I feel that good. I feel that good. The playoff monkey off. I ain't got no worries, no concern. But I came in saying if we play the Titans second round, I love this matchup. I kept saying I love this matchup. And like everybody's worried about how we're gonna stop Derrick Henry. Oh, Derrick Henry coming back. Like I said, I promise you, the Titans are worried about how they're gonna stop Mixon, how they're gonna stop Burrow, how they're gonna stop Boyd, how they're gonna stop Higgins, how they're gonna stop Chase. They're concerned about that. I promise you that. I promise you that. I honestly think we go to Nashville. I think we handle business. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a blowout, but I think it's gonna be another game in which the Bengals kind of have control of the game where you're really not feeling like we're going to lose it. I got the Bengals winning 27-20 over the Tennessee Titans, and the
Ooh,
Bengals will move on to the AFC Championship game. I can't believe I'm actually saying this right now because hey, we'll be honest on Life of the Jungle. I had them for 8 wins. Brother Pharaoh had them for 7, and we said, hey, you know, if we get 7 to 9 wins, we happy with that. Let the show grows. But the way we rolling right now, the way Joey B has confidence, the way this whole team has confidence, I don't see the Titans beating us. And a lot of these teams that be on buys, they come out slow. They
they
come out
really do.
slow, and I see it a lot of times where even Kansas City a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl, they came out slow. They were down what 28-0 to the Texans, 24-0 to the Texans that to Deshaun
Hmm.
Watson that year when and they had to roar back. And I can see and with the Titans if they start down 24-0,
Oh
they
yeah,
ain't coming
they're
back.
in
They're
trouble.
done. They're done. So you know what, for me, man, I like it 27-20. Bengals, we're going to the AFC title game, y'all.
Ooh, I like it. Now, I think some of that confidence I was trying to instill in Brother Cam last week has finally
It hit now.
matriculated off
Just,
to
I
his
just
vein.
needed to win. That's it.
You don't know, y'all. I caught him. I caught him before the game. And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm just nervous." I'm like, "No, Cam, we got this, man."
I just said, every time I get high, something bad happen. But hey, we got it, so I'm feeling good now. You can't tell me nothing.
Okay. I also am not going to pick against the Bengals as long as they're in this race anymore. I think they proved throughout the year with their games against Green Bay and some of the other teams that most people would consider elite or Super Bowl contenders that they can play with anybody. And again, even though these guys are maybe too young to realize the history of this franchise and to have any scar wounds, which is a good thing, still being able to go out there and get that first playoff win has to be nothing but a confidence booster for them going forward. So I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals to advance to their first AFC Championship game since 1988.
Woo.
Defeat the Tennessee Titans 24-17.
24-17. So we both got a 7-point victory. Brother Farrell has 24. Bengals 24, Titans 17. I have Bengals 27, Titans 20. Like I said, most people don't realize when you on that bye, sometimes you start off slow. This could be an instance where I just feel like I don't feel like the Titans can match up with us. I just really don't. Their best corner is what Janoris Jenkins. I mean, I'm
Who's that?
sorry. I'm
33 at
sorry.
this point, 33, 34 years old.
I'm sorry. Like, stop me. Stop. You got to stop me. And I just don't see it happening. I don't see. They do have a decent pass rush, decent D line with Simmons and Landry, Harold Landry. I respect those guys, but I just see, man. I just see the Bengals winning, and I see us going to the AFC Championship game, man. I can't believe I'm uttering these words, um, but I feel it in my bones, man. That we gonna be playing not only this week, we'll be playing next week.
And one more thing to add to that, I hope they do, because I'm superstitious as is Cam, so I'm not gonna jinx it and say anything. But I have the absolute perfect. When you guys look at the teasers on me and Cam's feed, for the next episode of Life in the Jungle, I'm usually the one that picks the music and everything. Cam lets me do that most of the time. I have the perfect song, especially for people that are still caught up on the Jerome Boger, fiasco and everything. I'm not gonna, speak on it any further than that. But I need them to take care of business because I have the perfect song picked out for the victory celebration that I'll be listening to all the way to the AFC Championship, wherever it's at, Buffalo, Kansas City, doesn't matter. But I can't wait to play this song for everybody that's still worried about whistles.
Yep, absolutely. And I can't wait either, brother. But one thing before we want to let you know before we exit out for your life in the jungle. We want to still say thank you for all the support. We reached plateau as far as our best since we started this show with 675 views the last time we checked coming into the day. That may be small to some, but it's huge to us. So we definitely appreciate that. Continue to watch because, like I said, next year once we get to draft time, we coming different. We coming different. We're gonna have, the background, the drops, and then the intros and everything like that. So we just appreciate you just watching just for the content because the visual is gonna be that much better to put this all together. So we definitely appreciate you. Continue to tune in, and you know, it's Coach Cam, it's the Pharaoh, and next week, regardless win or lose, we'll be back. But hopefully, it's talking about the Bengals going to the AFC title game. Until next time, life in the jungle. We out.